Hi, so I'm like here dealing with a head cold and trying to decide if I want to do this workshop really quick or if I just want to write it out and put it on the website. I think I want to do both because I can't possibly say everything I have written. I am still receiving lots of messages from women who tell me that they don't think that they have anything to write about. They don't feel as if their lives are worth documenting. That statement always gets me because we're living in an information age. We're living in a day and age in which there's a clear presence or delineation between good and evil. We have so much access to so much stuff that's interacting with our minds and our journeys. So when you say you have nothing to write about, I really would like to know, like, what are you doing? How are you interacting with your life? How are you not interacting with your life that the words and your own history is not speaking to you? We are history makers and we're supposed to always be available to our metaphors, to the voice of the divine, to discernment. So the fact that you don't have anything to write about, the fact that you have nothing to say, doesn't mean that life is not talking, doesn't mean that you're not being spoken to. It actually just means that you're not listening. You can live a lifestyle that keeps us in a cocoon, keeps us in a bubble because we don't question anything. We do the same thing every day. We keep ourselves just like always in this, state of obeisance where we don't ruffle the feathers. And sometimes we have free time, we have the time to write, but we use it to, watch TV or scroll on social media or, create some kind of noise around us that doesn't give us the silence to hear life speak. So because we have so much noise around us, because we're, constantly putting activity around ourselves, we never have the space to just be quiet and to just listen and to be like, what's do something different. Your journal is your storybook. So if nothing is happening with your story, you're the main character. Do something. Do something different. Change your routine. Sit somewhere different on the bus. Talk to a stranger. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Take a minute and look out the window from a different perspective in your house. I don't know, do something different. Do something that you usually don't do. Outline your dreams and ask yourself what you're doing in this very moment to start bringing them to fruition. A lot of times we're waiting to be discovered. We're waiting for something to happen and then just thinking that we're just gonna, something's gonna magically make everything happen. And the truth is that you have to happen in order for anything that you're envisioning to come to fruition. And dreams will cost you, your time, they'll cost you your body, they'll cost you sometimes your friends and your family, but mostly they'll cost you your comfort. So when you outline them, you need to start journaling about the shifts that you're noticing, the things that are falling away as you're taking steps or taking strides, even here first mentally before it happens physically, right? And then also the things that you're starting to gravitate towards. Are there any generational curses in your family? We don't like to talk about this. You don't have to be religious to believe it, but there's a reason why one tendency just so happens to stay in someone's family and pass down to the next generation. So I remember when I was younger, I wrote this letter to my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, and I asked her, I was like, tell me about my dad, tell me about yourself. I had never asked her about herself. And she wrote me this letter basically detailing like who she was and how she met my grandfather who had died before my father was even 10. And I was like, wow, like this is a really interesting woman. So again, sometimes we have nothing to write about because we just settle for the life around us being the life around us. And one way to really, really just start shaking things up is ask your family members about why they are the way they are. Ask about great grandmother, ask about auntie, ask about uncles, ask about, who are we? What comes through our bloodline? these days, I think we've forgotten that action is directly proportionate to blood. So the decisions that you make now, the things that you're doing now, the tendencies and the motives that are part of you are actually becoming part of your bloodline. You know, would you want your child, your grandchild, to be like you right now? Write about that. If you work at a really boring job, or anywhere, wherever you work, whatever job you have, write about the people that are around you. You know, again, you are occupying time with this identity. That in itself is legendary. That in itself is history making. So that means that everything that crossed paths with you, it's for a reason. And the only way you're going to find out is if you have it written down. It might not even show its relevance to you for another 10 years. What kind of conversations do you have? Why? You know, what are the things that people feel comfortable sharing with you, right? Are you always the one who gets the gossip? Are you always the one who they need for encouragement? Again, this is bloodline stuff, you know. This is the stuff that you're going to be telling to generations later, whether they're your children or not. If you plan on being old, you're going to be interacting with people who are going to say, what was it like? Have you written your own biography? Have you written your autobiography? If you don't have anything about yourself written down, that's a good place to start. Write about life from birth till now. So yeah, there's no such thing as having nothing to write about. There's, you know, choosing to not write or choosing to not be available, but there's no such thing as, you know, a life that is not noteworthy. You're here.